In case you are one of those who argue that Sanusi Lamido Sanusi is the substantive and officially recognized Emir of the Kano Emirate, well, you will have to explain the meaning and implications of Nuhu Ribadu's recent statement addressing Aminu Ado Bayero as Emir of Kano, as well as his contradictory occupants of the Nasarawa mini palace. But in a similar vein, if you are one of the loyalists of Aminu Ado Bayero, here's a question that remains for you to answer. How does the royal father intend to deal with the various uncertainties surrounding the full restoration of his position as Emir, especially with the rulings from the Kano State High Court restraining him from reconstructing or even renovating the mini palace at Nasarawa? With Nuhu Ribadu's recent acknowledgement of Aminu Ado Bayero as Emir of Kano while speaking in a meeting in Abuja, the National Security Advisor of the Tinubu administration has once again stirred up the political controversy as to who actually is in charge of the Kano Emirate. Concerned Kano citizens are also interested to know what the take of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is on this matter. While Aminu Ado Bayero, the 15th Emir of Kano, still occupies the Nasarawa mini palace backed by strong security, largely attributed to federal support by many, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, the 14th Emir and presumably the 16th as per the position of the Kano State Government, occupies the main palace at Gidan Rumfa. And what about the recent comments by Rabiu Bongoso, whose open support for the reinstatement of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, obviously backed by Abba Kabir Yusuf, his political godson? Will the reign of Aminu Ado Bayero able to persist despite this? The ongoing discourse surrounding the rightful Emir of Kano is a potent mix of tradition, legal interpretations, and political machinations. Despite being one of the most protracted royal power tussles, let's take a closer look at Nuhu Ribadu's address to Aminu Ado Bayero and see if his statement marks an end to the Kano Emirate tussle, or whether it could imply that there is still a political divide as to who owns the legitimate claim to the seat of the Kano Emirate. Welcome to Politics and Powerplay. Nuhu Ribadu, Nigeria's National Security Advisor, recently addressed Aminu Ado Bayero as the Emir of Kano, reigniting debates on who the legitimate Emir of Kano is. This comes despite the Kano State Government's recognition of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, who was controversially dethroned in 2020. Ribadu's statement contradicts the Kano State Court rulings reinstating Sanusi's rights, revealing a deep divide not only within the state but across national political lines. On the one hand, Aminu Ado Bayero, son of the late but much revered Emir Ado Bayero, holds widespread local support. His appointment followed a tumultuous period during which Sanusi was dethroned by former Governor Abdullahi Ganduje on allegations of insubordination and conflicts with state authority. Bayero's ascension symbolizes continuity in Kano's long-standing monarchical tradition, a sentiment held by those who see Sanusi as too politically assertive for a traditional institution. However, these sentiments are in stark contrast to the legal proceedings that followed Sanusi's dethronement, which included rulings from the federal courts recognizing Sanusi's fundamental rights, questioning the legitimacy of his removal. The position of Alhaji Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, former governor of Kano, political heavyweight and leader of the Kwankwasia movement, a red cap wearing political organization in northern Nigeria, adds complexity to this political debate. A strong supporter of Sanusi, Kwankwaso has openly criticized the dethronement, framing it as politically motivated and unjust. In his view, the removal of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi was an affront to the autonomy of the Kano Emirate and a dangerous precedent for how political interference undermines traditional institutions. Kwankwaso's position aligns with the legal victories that Sanusi has achieved, including favorable rulings that have restored some of his privileges, although without a definitive reinstatement as emir. On the other hand, Ribadu's endorsement of Bayero reflects the entrenched belief among many of Kano's political elites that Bayero's rule, now backed by a new administration, ensures stability and continuity in the emirate, sidelining any judicial concerns. The federal court decisions have further complicated the matter. Although the judiciary has repeatedly affirmed Sanusi's fundamental rights and questioned the processes that led to his removal, the court rulings, especially those of the federal courts, have not forced an outright reinstatement, leaving a gray area in the power dynamics. Legal experts argue that while Sanusi's rights were violated, the courts have been reluctant to tread on the delicate ground of reversing a traditional leadership appointment. This judicial caution contrasts sharply with the political confidence expressed by the Kano State Government under Ganduje and now Ribadu's federal endorsement of Bayero, signaling that the legal battle is not necessarily the defining factor in this issue. Interestingly, the decisions of the federal courts also clash with the cultural realities on ground. While legal processes, particularly those of the Kano State Courts, seem to favor Sanusi, Bayero's reign enjoys a relative peace and recognition across much of the populace, especially after the turbulence that marked Sanusi's tenure. The supporters of Aminu Ado Bayero also argue that under his leadership, the emirate has stabilized and is functioning more in line with its traditional role, which is to remain non-confrontational and avoid entanglement in state politics. Sanusi's backers, however, point to his visionary leadership style and intellectual approach to reforming the institution, arguing that Kano deserves an emir who can stand up to government overreach, something Sanusi embodied even at great personal costs. The debate over the real Emir of Kano thus remains entangled between law and custom, political allegiances, and judicial pronouncements. Ribadu's recognition of Bayero against the backdrop of legal affirmations for Sanusi raises critical questions about the balance of power in Nigeria's governance structure. Kwankwaso's remarks reinforce this tension, as he has suggested that any resolution to the debate must honor not just the will of the courts, but the historical integrity of the emirate, which he believes Sanusi better represents. In contrast, Bayero's supporters argue that the stability and continuity of the traditional institution are best served by keeping him in the position, even if it means navigating the legal ambiguities posed by the Kano courts. Ultimately, the issue of the rightful Emir of Kano is far from settled. The court rulings and political endorsements suggests a deadlock where neither side can claim total victory. This deadlock may persist to reflect deeper questions about the relationship between Nigeria's political institutions and its traditional rulers, a relationship that, in this case, has drawn sharp fault lines not just within Kano but across the nation. Thanks for watching, and if this is your first time on this channel, make sure to hit on the subscribe and notification button for more of our videos on politics and power play.